What's up, guys? We're back again for another streaming session. Sunday night, baby. New week ahead. Let's do this, right? I'm excited. Hopefully, y'all had a good weekend. I wanted to stream Saturday, but Saturday was a busy day for me. I was out of the house all day, so away from my setup, so couldn't have got that done. And when I was thinking about doing it, it was already super late, so I was like, we'll just wait on it. Holiday stuff, whatever. So. Sorry about that, but all good. We are here now. Shout out to you guys showing up here. Let's see. Let's get at least 40 people in here and we'll get it going. If you're watching this and enjoy my streams, give a quick retweet, like it, share, whatever you can do. I appreciate that. Let's get 40 people in here and we'll get it going. So far, we are seeing green overnight here. MNQ gapping up here. Same thing for ES. Pretty good gap and go so far. Now, will it hold overnight? That's going to be the question, right? And we're going to get into it. We are going to get into it here. Scalping some futures here on the push up here. So just kind of hitting some longs, getting in and out, kind of just on the move up here. Hourly just opened up over this golden level I have here on MNQ. This doesn't really, I don't know how much this level really means. Actually, this is last 2 weeks lows. No, last week's lows, yeah. Last 2 weeks, I would say. These lows that they're really holding up here. They're getting back above it. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Let's get 40 people in here and we'll get it going. Retweet the stream. If you show some love, let's go. We got game plans. I'll go over game plans for SpotQQ, economical data, my thoughts, Friday's trades, and kind of what I was thinking there and what happened there. Friday was pretty interesting. Can't lie. All right. All right, 7 more people. We need 7 more people to show up. We got 40 plus. We'll get it going here. Retweet the stream, show some love. Let's get to 40 people in here, and then we'll get it going. All right, 40 people. Let's do this. Yeah, so far, Gavin, go. All right, let's do this. So first thing I'm going to go over is my first trade. My only trade for Friday. And that was just Tesla, right? Tesla, we caught the real main banger at open there. And it was beautiful. I mean, even this hourly looks gross. But, I mean, if we get on the 15, you can see just how beautiful it really was. 2 15-minute candles. So 30-minute trade, that was just blasting there. But, just beautiful, right? I saw that we were squeezing on Tesla. And so this was something I was watching going into, Friday. And when I saw it was showing some strength here, opening up above 447, possibly 449 here, that's where I was like, all right, I'm going to be watching this. And it actually opened up 448 on the dot. 440 on the dot. So it was pretty much down here where it opened up above that 447.91. So I thought that was a really good start to begin with, but I wanted to see it break above 449.69, which it did, right? So it opened up and started breaking. And as it started breaking this flag, I was like, you know what? I don't see anything else that's even remotely good. I have to go for this because of this setup, right? Even if they did wick us all the way down like they did do the wick, right? They did do the kind of failed breakout there, right? I knew that even if we get the wick all the way up here, we'd still win on those calls regardless. And boy, did we win on those calls, right? I think we slammed the 455s, maybe. I can check right now. We got those for like $90, $100. I got filled. Pretty banger play. That was the 460s. We got the 460. Those went in the money. It was crazy. We got the 460s. And I got filled on those at $90, which is crazy because I got filled down here at $90. Alerted it to the team. Team entered, right? The team entered and they got a better price than me because once I entered at 90, it wicked down a little bit and those went to like 70s. They went to like 70, 80s range. And I saw it at 83 and I was like, man, I'm about to add more. I was like, dude, I'm about to slam more because I know this is about to rocket. The hourly candle was holding amazing. I saw the volume kicking up. I saw buyers hitting the tape. I was like, yeah, they're going to give us a nice push at least to 454, this level right here, right? My target was really just hitting into this zone, and we can sell, as we get into this zone area right here. This is all I was looking for. I was not expecting a break above or to go higher, which was absolutely crazy. But, we got filled on those 460s for $90 and it pushed immediately. As this whole candle, moved up here, I think the high of those hit like 700 a contract, 600 a contract, whatever it was. So over like 600% after my entry was insane, absolutely insane. And that's what I was looking for on a Lotto Friday. Like really all I was looking for. Only Lotto I touched. Yeah, and that was pretty much it as, we saw or we're seeing SPY QU kind of like sell off. We saw that Q ended up kind of opening up and pushing into 623, 624 and just kind of rejecting, going back to weekly lows. But that's where things got interesting, where we broke those weekly lows and pushed down to 611, 610 down here, which is a major zone. We have a lot of support down here in this area. I want you guys to understand this. All this area right here, we have a lot of support from 611, 610, all the way down, I would say to 600. I would say 600, even right there. But for the meantime, from 606 to 611, so this $5 move right here, we have a lot of supports, a lot of traffic. You can see it right there. And if I get on volume profile here and show you guys what I'm, anything else that I'm seeing or anything else we can see, volume profiles right here. We can definitely see, we can definitely see how, a lot of just, I would say traffic is just in this area. And it's just like, it's way more above us, right? We had a lot of traffic up there, but this is a good amount of traffic just in this area and it's consistent. It's just a consistent amount. So that tells me that, this is going to act as a support, which makes a lot of sense, right? A lot of sense because anything above, I would say 600 right now for QQ is going to be bullish. I'm bullish above 600, this level, that purple level down there. As long as we hold above 600 for QQ, we are going to be bullish. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for going into tomorrow. If we hold, 611, 610, right now we're at 615 overnight, right? I want to see if we end up kind of breaking this little mini flag and we run back to 617, 618. From there, I want to see what we do. This will be a point of inflection, right? I'm going to be kind of risking off around here unless we can break this. But 618, 617 supply zone, that will be my target. Now, I do have a bigger kind of trend line I'm seeing right there. If we end up breaking that and getting above it, that will be considered a downtrend breakout, and we'll run right back to highs that we, pretty much sold off from. We'll go back to, last week's highs. So let's see what they do. Now, if we get back to this, which we will, and they end up rejecting it, that's where bears are going to be looking for, the continuation downward, right? Because this is going to be continuing the trend going downward. So that's what they're going to be looking for going into Monday, Tuesday. Now, before we get a little bit more into this, let's go over what news we have, right? What news do we have? And so a lot of news we have is Tuesday and Thursday, really only Tuesday and Thursday. All the job kind of numbers, core retail sales coming out, before market open, but, retail sales and non-farm unemployment change and unemployment rate, all that's going to affect us. Monday, likely they're going to try and keep us in range. So they're going to push us back up here into that inflection point. From here, that's where it's going to make a lot of sense, where Tuesday comes in, before open, and we get that, that data, right? So Monday kind of back in range. Tuesday, we get that data, and that's going to decide downtrend breakout or continuous down there. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, CPI is going to be the bigger one Thursday. CPI, unemployment claims, core CPI month over month, core, CPI month over month. That's tentative though. Year over year, they're going to give it to us. And the fact that they're giving it to us year over year and not month over month means they're skewing this to make it look good. So likely it's going to be bullish that they're going to try. Now, we don't know how the market's going to react. But again, we'll see if we end up hitting here. If we end up downtrend breaking out and pushing back up, I would expect being back up here when that CPI data comes out. When it does, it's going to end up breaking those weekly highs. SPY will finally hit new all-time highs up here, new all-time highs, and then, keep it going. So that's going to be very, very interesting what happens. And it's all about, that data and, how that kind of pushes us. But the way they're kind of skewing this or the way they're setting this up, it's very possible, that this is going to be bullish. So let's see. Now Friday's kind of sell off. My thoughts on that were, I think it was just the bond market. I want to believe yields. Yeah. I think, bond market opened up and it kind of just ended up, pushing us down there. And to be honest, the reason why I'm not super bearish was because we're going to take a look at SPY and, looking at SPY, we pushed from all-time highs all the way back down to, 680 purple level. The way they closed this was above 681. So they closed this right here. And if you look at where we closed, right, the close was 681.76 above that 681 level. And if you notice what that 681 level is, you can see right here that it was actually the weekly low that we've been kind of pushing on the past 2 weeks. I would say a week and a half. We just defended that 681 and notice how they closed it right above it. And that says a lot. So that's why I'm not getting too bearish out here, because SPY's kind of writing the story here. SPY's kind of telling us, look, we're not far off from all-time highs. We just sold off from all-time highs. So we're still in, hitting distance, striking distance of all-time highs. So, that's why I'm not going to get too bearish here. You can't get too bearish when we're this close to all-time highs. And that's what I'm going to do. So let's see kind of what happens here. I want to see SPY. I want to see SPY hold this and break above 682.73. So this is zone that we kind of closed under. I want to see them break above this. Now we're above that here after hours, right? We're at 683.45. So we're about right here outside of it. I like that. I want to see if we can open up around here and break higher. Now, this is a small zone above us, this 685, but it is mighty. It's small but mighty, and we've been playing this all week, really. It's been something we've been dealing with for the past couple of weeks, right? It's kind of the stick in the sand there, median point. Let's see, right? If we break that, right, then we know we're just going to magnet right back up to 688 all-time high supply. And then from there, all-time highs. Now, again, data is going to end up pushing us. It makes a lot of sense that if we end up breaking this going into Tuesday and we hold up here into Tuesday, and that Tuesday data pushes up to all-time highs and we hang there at all-time highs, and then the CPI data pushes us to new all-time highs, it makes a lot of sense, guys. Now, let me play devil's advocate. Let me just say none of that goes according to plan. Let me just say, or let's just think about it. What happens if we just end up selling off Monday, data comes out Tuesday, and we just continue to sell off, and then CPI comes out and we just continue to sell off? One huge level we're going to be looking for is 678, 677, this target down here. Say Tuesday's data gets us down here, or Monday to Tuesday we get down here. CPI would have to break us to run back down to 675. Again, this 675 is going to act as a major support, because you can see all those times we rejected 11/4, early November, mid-November, and then we finally broke at 11/25 on that, downtrend breakout push. So that's going to be, that 675, 674 zone is going to be something very heavy to try and hold now. Bears got work. bulls don't really have that much work to do. They could low volume melt this up. And that's another thing we got to be looking for this week. If we see low volume pre-market, that's going to be a win for the bulls. They're going to try and low volume this and melt it right back up. If, they feel like they can't, they don't really got to fight, all they got to do is low volume this and melt it up, and it'll just go. So, I mean, that's something, you got to be looking out for. And that's something I'm going to be looking out for. So one way to understand, how that volume is, pre-market, right? Are things moving a lot or moving a little? Are things up, down, mixed? How are the things kind of looking, right? Mixed meaning like a SPY and Q green or NVIDIA red, or, Amazon, Apple, and NVIDIA, Tesla are all green, but AMD and Google and Meta and Microsoft are red, right? We're seeing Microsoft red here overnight, only down $1, but, I wouldn't say this is mixed. Everything is pretty green here overnight here. Mixed would be like if Meta was also red, Apple, Amazon, just mixed instead of everything on the same kind of, I would say on the same directional, right? So that's one way to determine it, right? Another way to determine is if you want to actually look at volume. One thing I do look at is I'll look at volume on an indicator. I'll just go use the actual volume. There's a lot of different volume indicators, but I use this one right here, right? And it's a sub chart. And so what I do is I have found that getting on the 15-minute on the sub chart helps me understand a lot about, the low volume. So you can see right here on the first 15-minute, 5 million on that first candle for QQ. Anything over 2 million, it can sell off, meaning it can pull down. So that's why you see the next candle is 4 million. Next one's 3.8. Other one is 4 million. You can see why we're pulling down here. It wasn't until 1.5 volume right here where we ended up pushing up slowly. Everything was kind of at 2 million or under, and we were slightly pushing up. Around here was still low volume, so we kind of ranged like that. So not nothing crazy. And then you see a huge spike in volume before close there. And then, a prime example would have been Thursday, right? You can see at open 4.5 million, 4.7 million. And that's why we sold off early on QQ. And then after that, as it went into low of day or kind of midday there, you can see the volume completely dried up, and we just grinded all the way back up into close there, which was absolutely crazy. And then this was different because I was CPI or FOMC. I'm sorry, FOMC. So that's different, but that's kind of one way I do it. And it helps me a lot, right? Another way is just kind of understanding how price movement is to begin with. So that's another thing what I do as well. So just kind of always keep an eye on it. Also, around the times, right? Is it lunchtime, end of day, right at open? There's a lot of things that kind of go into, understanding when low volume and stuff is. So that's another way I like to do it as well. Shout out to you guys showing up here, guys. Retweet the stream, show some love, guys. Let's get some people in here. Shout out to 130 of y'all. Shout out to Twitch people. Appreciate y'all showing up. We're getting ready. We're game plans. Fresh new week. Money to be made, right? Let's go. So Blitzy, appreciate you, boy. Let's go. Yeah, I'm making a little bit of money here, scalping some futures, longs, a couple $100, whatever. Nothing too crazy happening here overnight. Just a little bit green. I like it. I ain't mad at it. At all. Let's kind of see what happens here. Decent setups. One setup I'm watching, right? And I kind of already posted to you guys already, right? Was the Tesla, right? We caught the massive Tesla move on Friday, like massive lotto calls. I love Tesla Fridays, right? But now we're looking at, what's going to be happening for the continuation, right? This is pretty interesting. This closed, even though, look at this 4-hour hammer, like even this 4-hour hammer, flow was hitting it nonstop. Like there was just massive strength out of this on Friday. It closed breaking, a weekly high here. And so my next levels up here are going to be 470, right? 479, 483. I think we, absolutely just run and possibly make those new all-time highs, right? I think we do, right? We're already pretty much at all-time highs, if not, kind of weekly making new all-time highs. So I think we're very close. We're very close. And if we open up above 461, I would say, get ready because any low of the week, should blast it to 470 plus 479, 483 is, my main target. If we break that, I wouldn't even be shocked. Wouldn't be shocked, So let's kind of see what happens there. Now, I was trying to play TSLL at open on Friday. I ended up going Tesla, but one thing I like to play is TSLL, right? I like to these contracts are cheap. They're moving. They move nicely with the move, and you can load up a good amount. Now, when I started checking the option chain, I think on Robinhood they took it away, and I think they still have it on Webull, but I don't know if y'all had this issue here where I looked at the option chain and they didn't have the options on Robinhood. They took it away. They still got it on Webull, so that's accurate. But look how cheap these are. I mean, something right at the money, $80, $85. One strike out the money, $60. You can load the boat on this and let it ride. It's you know it moves pretty well. I like that. So that's something I'm going to be looking for or watching as well. As far as other setups, Google, right? So Tesla, one of them, major. Spy, major, right? I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on that. Google, another one, kind of major here. Now, did fail kind of this channel breakout, but we're at the bottom of this channel again. Maybe I can adjust this a little bit more, but I'm not going to. I like this. We do have a little bit of a gap right here. I don't think I'm going to go for it, but I do like that if this ends up kind of breaking this, or we have to, we might dip a little bit, but false breakdown and then ends up pushing out. And once we end up breaking it, we're just going to make new highs right there. I like this setup eventually when it comes. I don't know when it will, but this is just something that's setting up here, and we got to keep our eye on it. So this is how I catch some of the major banger plays, guys. Is just keeping an eye on the major setup, right? This is a major setup, right? Tesla was a major setup. Some of these are major setups, and I'm just going to be watching. And when it's time, I'm going to be seeing it pre-market, and then it's time to roll on it. So definitely keep an eye as well. Google is one of those names. Keep an eye. I probably wouldn't post this chart just yet, but it's close. It's close. I like this. So let's see what it kind of does down here. Now, again, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on SPY. We're not too far off from all-time highs. Look at the 4-hour, guys. Let's be realistic here. Let's look at the 4 hours. You sold off from all-time highs, sure, but look at this candle on the 4-hour. Look at this candle. I mean, are you bearish on this candle or are you bullish on this candle? You seen that bears open this up and we ended up selling all the way off down here, but look at this massive wick on the move back up. That's pretty bullish to me. All this is support. We pretty much held just middle range, weekly range. And then, again, we saw another, on that next 4-hour, you can see another kind of small hammer. It is a red hammer, so we got to take that for what it is. But again, bulls are fighting back pretty nicely. And, now we're kind of seeing us green back into this range. Let's see what CPI does. Is CPI going to, be the deciding factor for us? We'll see to make new all-time highs or not. Again, we will see. We will see, guys. But I'm very interested. I'm bullish still. I'm very bullish still. Like I said, SPY closed above that 681 level. We closed at 681.76. The level to close above was 681.25. And you can see why they decided to close it there, because this blue level was it. That's that weekly low that we absolutely closed above. Like we sold, got under it, and then they immediately brought it back up before close, and held it. And that was on purpose, So we didn't close under a major weekly break. We're just still in this range. And, if they end up melting us back up and CPI will do it, it's going to be pretty crazy, right? How people got caught off guard on Thursday, on that move up right there. That was, pretty banger, because we sold off first, hit that zone. Buyer stepped in pretty nice. And you can see that right there in that zone. We stepped in or buyer stepped in, we stepped in too with calls, rode that all the way up into new all-time highs, opened up though and couldn't quite do it. And so let's kind of see what they do. We are flagging here. I like this. Nothing too crazy. Game plans are pretty subtle, so pretty easy stuff, I would say. Let's see. Let me post. What do you guys want? The Q? What do you guys want? The Q or the SPY? Q or SPY game plans? Let's see. Let me know in chat in the stream chat right now. Q or Spy game plans. I'll tweet out right now so you guys can have it. Another name I'm going to be watching as well. Let's see. Another name I'm going to be watching as well is QCOM. Where's that at? On my watch list here. I'm liking this. Man, I think this is setting up for the next leg up. I think, unfortunately, that it tried Friday, but Tech kind of sold off there. It held very nicely into this demands. This is looking, beautiful. I would say on the uptrend here. We're flagging here. It could be a falling wedge. So this is still something I'm going to be watching for. I mean, QCon's been a nonstop ribbon since when we caught it at 166. QCon's been nonstop here. It's been on a rampage. And the crazy thing is, on the daily, we just posted, an uptrend on the daily. Now, I like that. And then that next candle on that daily, I like that. Now, the Friday candle was what kind of faked me out a little bit right there. It's like, well, I would say it was just, Tech was just weak. So let's see what kind of QCOM does. QCOM's a sleeper. It's a slow one. Sometimes it just creeps up on you. So let's see if it ends up breaking that 183. If it ends up breaking, that 183 area, which is this top of the zone right here. If it ends up breaking that, I know for sure it's running to 186, 190. And then from there, it's kind of a free for all to see where it goes, because all of this last time it was up here was that major news that rocketed to 204, 200 level. So I'm very interested to see what's up, but I think this runs back to 190, 200 level. But first, we got to get through that 183 level. I'm eyeing for 186 to 190 for this week. So let's see if it can do that. It would need to open up above 180 area and then just get that move straight up. Now we saw it did that Friday. It opened up 181 and then shot up to 183, and then the selling kind of just started on Tech. So we'll see kind of what happens there. Qs, all right, got you guys on the Qs game plans. The Qs not too bad. Here, hold on. Yeah, the Q game plans not too bad. Now that's the thing, and I want you guys to kind of hear me out on this a little bit. Tech is a little bit weak right now, right? Way weaker. I would say weaker than Spy, right? So right now, my actual game plan is I'm going to be listening a little bit more to I would say, Spy upside and the Q downside of the game plans, right? Because we know Spy's right back kind of near all-time highs. We're not too far off from it. Other than that kind of Friday pullback. Again, we held the weekly lows there. So again, anything I would say in this area, I'm going to be watching for Spy on that move kind of back up here, right? We're back in range right now overnight, and I want to see if that data ends up doing something, right? If core sales ain't gonna do shit, retail sales ain't gonna do shit, but unemployment rate, right? Employment change, PMI is not gonna do nothing. I would say just ADP, the employment change. I think that's gonna do something for us. It's not gonna be crazy. CPI is gonna be the main mover, but if we can get right back up into this area and then CPI come out, I think CPI is gonna rocket us through it. I really believe so, because think about it, we got to read in between the lines. Tentative CPI month over month, core CPI month over month, and just CPI month over month. Tentative, right? They might not even give us that, but they're saying they're going to give us our year over year, which year over year just sounds like, as long as we did a little bit better than last year, like, we have no choice but to take that as good news, right? We have no choice to be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not getting any worse, run it, and then we have unemployment claims, so that that might help too. They can skew that though. Month over month though, they can't really skew that. Like, we could easily be like, oh shit, it got worse from last month to this month. Like, so that could be an issue. And so that's why that's maybe tentative right now, that they're like, we're probably not going to give them that, but we'll give them the year over year. Like, hell yeah, this shit looks better since, what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see. I believe they're going to try and skew this now, just in case, right? We'll keep an eye on everything. We are seeing a little bit of mixture of AMD kind of red, Microsoft red, everything else green. So let's just see what happens here. I think the market is setting up for a bigger move this week. It's kind of already showing it. So I like that. We do have a little bit good setups, right? and in all doubt, we can just be pressing Tesla. That's something we could be looking out for because that's already ready to go. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Another sleeper, like I said, is QCOM. I'm going to be watching QCOM, especially if this falling wedge kind of scenario holds up down here. We're in this demand, we hold and we push right back up. I'm going to be really watching this because I think it's going to make the next leg up to 186, 190 area, and then from there maybe early January, back to 200. This is looking very good. Now, say this ends up breaking, I would say under 177 area, then likely I'm not going to be looking for calls. I'm not going to be looking to press this. Let's see what it does. If it does drop back down to 174 area, that's a pretty big demand right there. Let's see kind of what it does down there. And then from there, I'm not going to be kind of pressing or doing too much to it, right? Right now, some of these names we got to just kind of let cool off. And we got a massive move on QCOM that we're looking for. But let's see if we can get the tail end, the last end of the big move here. We'll see. Another name that, man, NVIDIA is just kind of defeating us right now, right? We're just from all-time highs, earnings smash out all the way back, just doing nothing for the past month is just kind of, heart wrenching here, but we are holding the 175s area. We closed at it Friday, and I'm very interested to see, if we end up holding again and pushing back up. I don't know. That looks very interesting when we played calls early in the week right here. We caught a massive move on this that day, which was what 12/8. What was that, Monday? Yeah, that was last Monday. This past Monday, just massive calls that opened that we caught, beautifully. We didn't swing anything. We just, my target was that 187, 186, and we hit about 187, almost 188 level. We caught it at open. It was a really good mover. We banked off that, and then we saw that news come out for NVIDIA, ripping it to 190, and I was like, nice. And I was getting ready to roll up above that 191 level right here. We broke above that. I was so confident we were going to run to 195, 193. But of course, they retracted that China news, selling NVIDIA chips to China's market and of course pulled right back down in range. Obviously, I stopped looking at it because, not a good look there. Not a good look. And we're back down on the 4-hour downtrend here. So again, not a good look, but all good. Let's see how NVIDIA kind of fights it out here going into this week. I'm just going to be watching it for a while. I'll let you know when it's NVIDIA time. But right now, not NVIDIA time. We are seeing SpyQ still kind of wick up or melt up here after hours. I like this. Not a bad look. Just going to be watching this right for now. Let's see kind of what happens here. Game plans are set. I posted the QQ game plans. Show some love there. Questions, let me know. Shout out to 200 of y'all. Any questions, let me know. Also, what I want to shout out to you guys is also the RicoCap.com website is live right now. Go check that out. If you want to learn more information, just more about the RicoCap organization, what we got going on, stuff like that, go look at that. Go explore that a little bit. And if you're looking for my trades, live trading, mentorship, whatever you need, wap.com/RicoCapital. RicoCap.com will take you to wap.com/RicoCapital when you're ready to sign up. Signing up is all through there still, but RicoCap.com, more of an informational page, right? You guys can check it out. I'm going to be having, I'm actually going to connect the Discord's member gains in a section there. So it's going to be live member gains every day or whenever it's posted, right? Of live members posting their gains. I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool way to, show some highlights, shout out the members and all that. It's pretty awesome, which is cool because I kind of silently just kind of launched the website here over the weekends, right? I just mentioned it Friday night, I think, and then Saturday, a little bit now, right? And in 24-hour period, over 2,000 visits already to the website, which is absolutely insane in like 24 hours, over 2,000. And I'm like tracking it all over the world, guys, all over the world. People are getting on there, some new signups, things like that. It's awesome. So shout out to you guys showing some love there. Appreciate, y'all showing love as always. And, just trying to help y'all, just trying to make y'all some money. Like I'm trying to make some money and, let's get out there and kill it, guys. We had a really good past week, really good month so far, and we're going to keep it that way by sticking to our levels, being logical with the trades, even though sometimes the market is, not the most logical on some days. But as long as we stick to our zones, I promise you, stick to the recap zones. I promise you, it's going to be a lot easier than it is harder. I promise you. So, it's always a good thing to be, locked in on a strategy and just trusting your strategy, right? I had one red day, not this past week, but the week after that, right? Sticking to my strategy. The next day, that same setup on the same position, it presented itself again. And I told you guys on stream, like, once this happens tomorrow, I'm going for it again, right? At open, I slammed SPY, or I slammed QQ calls 2 Thursdays ago, and we just dumped off, right? We just dumped off, and I could show you on Q where we did. Let's see. Right up here, where we at? Where was it? Where was it? What level was that? Thursday, Friday. Oh, there it is. I'm tripping. There we go. All right. So it was right here. We opened up on this 12-4, right? Yeah, that was last Thursday. We opened up right here, and you can see we opened up above my zone, that 624. That tells me we're going higher, and I'm sticking to my strategy. I opened up and slammed Q calls. Obviously did not work, got dumped on. I went 2 days out, and yes, if I held on to those going into the next day, you can see what happened. Now, anytime we've ever opened up a zone and got dumped on, usually they buy the dip and it works the next day. Now, I messed up, right? I messed up sticking to my rules. Now, that's not messing up. I messed up by not being a little bit more patient. I would say I should have just been a little bit more patient to see what would happen, or I could have gone TQQ calls and been fine, right? Because I would have gone next week out, this past week, right, and banked on it the very next day. And those calls still banked. It's all good. But now I stuck to my stop of 30%, 35%, and got stopped out on the move down. And we kind of just stayed down all day, not too much. And I went on stream that same night and said, once we open up, above here, I am slamming calls. I'm going for it. I don't care. It's going to happen the next day, and I'm going for it. We're running to 628, 629 because we had a gap up here. Sure enough, we opened up, no hesitation. I slammed QQ Lottos, knowing we're going to bank on this. I slammed one Lottos and 1 day expiration. So 2 positions on Q calls ripped. Of course, over 300% of the Lottos, over 100% on the other ones. Made back whatever I lost. So, red day, sure. But I mean, this was just sticking to my strategy, just sticking to your strategy. And that's kind of what I'm, I guess, getting to the point at. Just sticking to your strategy. Like, don't be scared at all. I wasn't scared at all. If they somehow dumped on me somehow again, maybe I would be like, man, like, I'd be pissed. But again, I can live with losing with, sticking to my strategy and being disciplined than just kind of wildly entering positions and losing on that. That's something else that I can't live with, right? That just, absolutely kind of eats a little bit more away at me, I would say. But, that's the thing right there. That's the thing. Also, think about this, and I was thinking about this, and I'm tweeting this out right now too. One trade making $200, 5 trades Monday through Friday, making $1,000 a week, easily, 4K, if you're staying consistent, which is crazy because $200 is just 20% of $1,000 if you're trading with $1,000. Do you think you can get 20% sticking to the zones, shorting when they're sellers? Do you think you get 20% from 623 all the way down to 611? Come on. Even with Lottos, you would have got 20%. Even if we slapped that 621 level, you would have got 80% if a $2 move on some Lottos right there. Like, so be like, come on. $200 daily. If you can do that consistently, even with $1,000, you're making 52K a year, which is more than, the average household income or the average household income, in America, which is absolutely kind of insane. Now, the thing is, in college and stuff like that, they're not going to teach you that. What I just told you right there, they're not going to teach you a clear, concise plan to make $52,000, to make a couple hundred a day, thousands a month. They're not going to give you that plan. They're going to teach you, definitions and things like that. I would know, I have a finance degree. I have that background in finance. I know. And that's one thing I hated about college. Like I went because I wanted to test myself and know I can get through it, but I know that they're not going to teach me how to make money because making money and working for somebody are two way separate things, right? So that's one thing I was doing during college was teaching myself how to make money and trade. That was thing because, you know, again, they're not going to teach you how to do it. They're going to teach you about the market. They'll teach you about stocks. They'll teach you about, annuities and immortalizations and mortgages and whatever else finance you want to learn. They can teach you that, forward PEs, calculating beta. To this day, it's just like, why would I even need to know that? It's crazy because I've never used it, right? I can't believe all the calculus, stats, all that I took for what? None of that teach me how to make a dollar. So that's the whole thing. What I'm telling you right now is, making 1% of $1,000 or 20% of $1,000 is $200. You make that in, consistently for 5 days, making $1,000, 4K a month, 52 a year. That's the thing right there. Like someone giving you that clear, concise plan, focusing on that. And so how you do that is just focusing on some of these high conviction plays, some of these plays, that we're absolutely banging out, right? Seeing flagging right here, right? Knowing that, downtrend breakout for Amazon. We caught Amazon on Wednesday. There's nothing to catch on Wednesday at open. We caught Amazon, the only main play, and it rocketed from 228 all the way to my 233, 232 supply zone. We knew sellers were there. We knew that likely risk off, sell all the calls. We fell down to demand and went right back up. Insane. Like insane that you could have actually double dipped and made it right, did it again. Because you could have slammed puts up there, wrote it down, cash out, slam more calls. At that point, you're just in the matrix because like anyone doing that is absolutely insane. I've only done that a few times ever where I'm just like, sell my calls. All right, puts. All right, yeah, calls again, and it's just like, damn, I'm seeing everything completely. Like it's very rare that things even really move that drastically or, that in one day kind of thing. Like they'll do it, day after day, but in one day is crazy. We caught that massive move right there. And then again, I saw that we were flagging and Friday, this was another high conviction play. Hourly ended up dumping out of that flag and we ended up going lower. This is the same low that it went to in the kind of the weekly lows down there. Beautiful. I mean, this would have been my target 227, 226. And the fact it went down 225, even better, even better. So focusing in on high conviction plays like that is something that's going to help you or that's going to, I would say, grow your money a lot faster than anything else. Just absolutely just getting locked in on one strategy that's going to really get you there and really do your thing. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Awesome. Questions, let me know, guys. If not, I'm ready to bank. I'm ready to start this week. I'm excited. It's almost, this would be our last, I would say, full week until the new year, right? I can check that out. Let's see. This is our last full week, right? Yeah. Because next week's gonna be Christmas, Thursday and Friday, right? And then Wednesday and Thursday, right? Half day Wednesday and then half day Friday, I believe. Christmas that Thursday. Market will be closed. I think either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and then maybe New Year's. So that's the next 2 weeks, and then we're gonna get our full market full week would be the second week of January. So yeah, this week is good as our last kind of major full week. So let's get out there, let's get it done right, and then maybe sit back for the next 2 weeks. Not sit back, but just be a little bit more selective these next 2 weeks and kind of just enjoy more with the fam and and happy holidays, right? So I'm ready for that. All right, guys, looking good. Let me know. All right. All right, cool. All right, I appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Shout out to 200 and plus of y'all showing up. Let me see how many of y'all. 271 plus. Shout out to you guys. 274. Y'all the best. Show some love. Retweet the stream before we go. One last thing also as well. What was I going to say? Let's see. Oh, question. Yes. One of the questions I got from one of my mentor sessions was, how do you know when a banger play, like, right, how we caught Amazon. How you know when an Amazon or a Tesla like this, on Friday that we caught is gonna happen? Like, how do you know that? And so that's a really good question, because a lot of times by context clues, right? How did I know this? All right, one of the context clues: how long have we been in this range for Tesla, right? We popped into this range above 440, which was on 12/3, so earlier in the month. And then we hit 454, 460. We played this move actually into this. I posted this to you guys. So this was just a continuation. We ended up rejecting right back to demand the next like day and a half. So no continued breakout up there that I was actually already kind of looking for. And then after that, right, we held and we pushed back into this range again. And I was watching this. It was crazy, but there's this gap right here. I know you can't see it because we already filled it, but we gapped down right there and we had this gap right here. This was something I was watching going into Wednesday. Wednesday was FOMC. So I was like, if it doesn't come early, then I'm going to be kind of keeping my eyes off it now. And then you can see kind of, I would say, exactly how it kind of played out, right? I saw we are flagging again, right? We're flagging. We had this gap, so I knew Tesla was at least going to go right back to my supply zone in here easily, right? And on top of that, once it breaks that flag right there, I know that's going to be time to go once it breaks that 449 level, right? Because notice how we got to 449 but rejected, right? The only way for me to be very confident in this is to see how the volume reacts at the time of the day. And so I was watching the volume was there, and we broke, and I unfortunately missed this play on FOMC, but we caught calls that day, when everything started spiking. So Tesla decided to just hit that gap fill, and it did. We had the gap right there. It was a guaranteed banger, and that worked perfectly. Now, I was like, okay, that's cool. And I thought kind of the move was over because I saw that after that, we just dumped in the range there. But once we went into Lotto Friday, I was like, oh, hold on. We are squeezing more into Friday here, because you think the move is over. It's not. Look at the sidewaysness that we are in right now going into this Friday. This is just getting tighter, meaning it's coiling up into these levels here. So this means we're eventually going to get a breakout here. We're eventually going to get a move out of this zone up here. They're going to eventually fight through it. Now, how can I understand that, right? Okay, one way I can do that is I'm going to draw a flag, which I did, right? From the highs of the past previous day, from the low from the previous day. So pretty much just the past 3 days that I'm seeing squeezing here. I want to do exactly what I did right here, but I'm drawing the level straight to that 449 level just in case. Now, I could have drew it to the 447 level right here. And it made a lot, and it just makes just as much sense that we blasted through it. But I wanted to be very sure, so I just drew it to one more level above. Either way, because notice how we reversed here, notice how we wicked off it there. I just wanted to be sure, and then notice how we opened up under it the day before we sold. I wanted to be sure. Now, all good. We opened up above at 447. That 448 level, and I knew that if we end up cracking that 449, we're just probably going to rip into this level. And that's the high probability of that actually happening. So I have to go for it. And so there's nothing else really, moving in our favor. I saw volume kick up once this opened, and it held this body really well. And it was like gearing up. Like I've been in breakouts like this so many times that I know when it's gearing up. I'm watching the tick by tick. I'm watching the volume analysis. I'm seeing buyers hit the tape. I'm seeing the volume on the hourly gear up. I'm just seeing, massive volume kind of getting ready for it. So I was like, okay, yeah. Even if it wicks all the way down like it did, like notice how it just wicked all the way down, which is obviously not good. But no, even if it did wick and did all that, you're still gonna win on it because of the move up. As long as you're just not holding to oblivion, right? I'm not holding into oblivion, right? If I'm up 100%, 200%, 300%, whatever the case may be, I'm trimming into the move. I'm selling top dollar. I'm putting my limit orders on the ask high. So when people are seeing that this is breaking out and they're late to the party, they're going to be paying extra. They're running in here trying to get filled as it's moving up, and they're like, "Fuck it, I'll pay this much." All right, I didn't get filled. All right, cancel the order. I'll pay this much. All right, cancel the order. I'll pay this. And so I'm cashing in on those people that are like trying to get filled and they can't get filled. So then the third or fourth time that they're trying to get filled, they just put an insane amount higher. Not insane, but like $30, $40 higher, knowing that it should hit that. And then by the time that they're entered, it's going to be above that in their mind. That's what they're thinking. And so I'm cashing out. I'm cashing out on that move on the way up because I don't know when this merry-go-round is going to stop on this move up. I did not think this would break that 460.49. I thought we'd test it. We did go higher to 463 and then rejected right off it. So yeah, I mean, the analysis was correct. And so that's one way to kind of capitalize off that and understand, when a bigger move is coming. Is something squeezing past few days? Are they squeezing? Can you make sense of it as far as like a shape? Can you make sense of, how things are kind of lining up and gearing up? And that's it right there. And then, just taking the shot, not being scared of taking the shot and just going for it. And that's really all you can do. And that's really all I go for right there is criteria. Is this matching my criteria? Is this looking like it's getting ready to go? How long? What is this, a failed breakout? What's going on? So things like that. So yeah, that was a good question from one of my mentees. If you want my one-on-one mentorship, you can sign up for that, guys. We can work on whatever you need to work on, and we can get your trading to where it needs to be. If not, you can get my trades, wop.com/Rico Capital or RicoCap.com if you want to learn more. Get involved, learn more. Do what you gotta do, guys. All right, I'm done for the streaming session. I appreciate y'all showing up. Shout out to 300 plus of y'all showing up here. Let's get it going. I'm ready to make some money this week. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to make some money. Let's do this. All right, appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Have a good rest of y'all's night, and I will see you guys out there on the timeline. Let me know if y'all need anything. DM me if y'all need anything. Join the team. Come on, guys. Let's make some money. Let's quit messing around, guys. Let's quit messing around. Let's make some money, people. I'm ready. I'm up a couple hundred so far overnight, and that's it for me. I'm going to bed, and I'm ready to grind. Let's do this. I just went shopping big time, Christmas shopping stuff. So let's make that money back, right? Let's make